Hello, my name is Sarah Hartman. I'm the Interim Literary Manager here at Geva Theater. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to our digital prologue for Barefoot in the Park, written by Neil Simon and directed by Geva favorite Rachel Alderman. Audiences will remember her incredible work from the 23-24 season murder mystery smash, Dial M for Murder, and last season's beloved adaptation of Little Women. Rachel brings not only her keen storytelling eye and vibrant theatricality, but also a lifelong connection to Neil Simon's work. The very first community theater non-musical show she was in was Brighton Beach Memoirs at just 12 years old. We couldn't be more excited to have her at the helm of Barefoot in the Park. So be sure to check out her interview on the show's program as well to learn more about her journey and her vision for this production. Barefoot in the Park also marks a homecoming for several beloved Geva artists. This includes scenic designers Christopher and Justin Swader, who designed The Play That Goes Wrong, costume designer Heron Kaputkin, whose work brought last season's Little Women to life, lighting designer Asia M. Jackson, who joins the team once more, and joining us for the first time is sound designer Frederick Kennedy. Leading wig, hair, and makeup design is Emma Gustafson, whose artistry you may remember from A Christmas Carol. Together, this team of returning designers brings a shared history with Geva and a deep understanding of how to turn this stage into a living, breathing world. So before we enter that world, I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about Neil Simon's life, his contributions to comedy, and why we humans love to get together and laugh. Neil Simon was one of America's most celebrated playwrights, known for his keen observations and his ability to capture the humor in everyday life, much of which was drawn from his own experiences. Born in 1927 in the Bronx, New York, during the difficult years of the Great Depression, his childhood was marked by difficulty, largely due to the instability of his parents' marriage. His father, Irving, spent months at a time away from the family. These early years indelibly shaped Simon and the deep meaning that laughter would have in his life. In his own words, he says, "Coming from a childhood where laughter in the house meant security, but was seldom heard as often as a door slamming every time my father took another year from us, the laughter that came my way in theater was nourishment." Another significant, but happier, influence in his early years was his older brother Danny, who was also a writer. The two collaborated early on, experimenting with dialogue and timing, laying the foundation for the precise, empathetic comic voice that would come to define Neil's career. After serving in the Army Air Force Reserve during World War II, Simon began writing for post-war radio and soon entered the golden age of television. He wrote for programs like Your Show of Shows and The Sergeant Bilko Show, working alongside figures such as Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, and Woody Allen. Here, he honed the mechanics of comedy, timing, pacing, and dialogue that snapped. You might say in some ways that television taught him the mathematics of laughter. While still writing for TV, he began to try his hand at writing for the stage. And by the time he was in his early 30s, he would find himself with his first Broadway show. This play, Come Blow Your Horn, opened doors, especially with rave reviews from Groucho Marx and Noel Coward. And over the course of the 1960s, he had a string of shows that cemented his reputation. Barefoot in the Park, The Odd Couple, and Plaza Suite were among some of his notable successes. By 1967, he had 4 plays running simultaneously on Broadway and was the most commercially successful playwright in the world. The 1970s brought a turn to screenplay writing and still more commercial success, but it also brought personal tragedy with the death of his wife of 20 years, Joan. By the late 1980s, Simon had returned to the stage with the Eugene trilogy, Brighton Beach Memoirs, Biloxi Blues, and Broadway Bound. These works drew even more deeply from his experiences growing up in New York, and I think that in the pages of these plays, his own words reveal a great deal about how he saw himself. You're a witness. You're always standing around watching what's happening, scribbling in your book what other people do. You have to get in the middle of it. You have to take sides, make a contribution to the fight, any fight, the one you believe in. Until you do, you'll never be a writer, Eugene. With his 1991 play, Lost in Yonkers, winning 4 Tony Awards and the Pulitzer Prize, Simon cemented his legacy. Over the course of his life and a career that spanned decades, Simon reshaped American stage comedy. He created works in which laughter emerges from truth, from the small disasters of domestic life, or as he called it, the small wars that become big wars. He demonstrated that comedy can be made from the mundane and the humane all at once. Neil Simon's plays endure not only because they are funny, but because they reveal something essential about human connection. And it is this that leads us to the next part of our journey, understanding why laughter matters and unpacking the social function and the craft of comedy itself. If you saw or were able to join any of our prologues for The Woman in Black, you may remember that we discussed the psychology of fear, why we enjoy being scared together, and how the shared experience really amplifies emotion. Now, we turn to its opposite, laughter. Why do we laugh? Why do we seek humor? And why does it feel so powerful when it's shared with others? Scholars and philosophers have long tried to answer these questions. Several theories have attempted to explain the psychology of laughter, though none alone really succeed. Relief theory, for instance, first proposed by Sigmund Freud, suggests that laughter allows us to release tension or nervous energy. So moments of absurdity or surprise act as almost a safety valve, letting emotional energy escape in the form of a laugh. Another theory, rooted in ideas from philosophers such as Immanuel Kant and Arthur Schopenhauer, is incongruity theory. So this theory proposes that humor arises when expectations are violated or when two ideas collide in an unexpected way. Puns, wordplay, or absurd juxtapositions, they all draw from this principle. Yet a third approach, pattern recognition theory, explains that laughter is part of a reward mechanism in our brains when we recognize a pattern. For instance, when we recognize ourselves or others in behavior, habits, or social quirks. Whatever the underlying theory, laughter also seems deeply intertwined with social connection and communication within groups. Studies show that people tend to laugh more when they're with other people rather than when they're alone. And I'm sure we've all experienced feeling more encouraged to laugh when we're with others. Shared giggles leading to infectious guffaws. The heightened energy and the sense of togetherness that emerges when people experience something as a group was titled collective effervescence by the French sociologist Émile Durkheim. He identified these strong feelings experienced by a group as creating a sense of belonging or even a sense of group identity. When we laugh together, we're not just having fun, we're creating social bonds. And when we're part of a collective, acknowledging the absurdities and the delights of life together, that is collective effervescence. And where better to experience this collective effervescence than the theater? So you may have heard the conventional wisdom in theater that comedy is one of the hardest things to do on stage. So what is it that we theater makers mean when we say that? The first and most important reason is timing. In comedy, timing is everything. Every line, pause, gesture, or door slam must arrive at exactly the right moment. Too fast and we may miss the joke. Too slow and maybe the tension is lost. Comedic timing is both mathematical and intuitive. It's the invisible structure that makes comedy feel effortless, even though every beat has been carefully designed. You can watch for this during the show. You can feel the pace and the tempo carrying you along, almost conducting the laughter in real time. The second reason is that audience reactions are essential. In live comedy, you are not passive observers. You're scene partners. A comedic play, in a very literal sense, remains incomplete until there is an audience responding. That's why comedy changes so much during previews and why directors and actors pay so much attention to audience responses. Actors and directors have to give you just enough to keep you laughing, but be careful not to indulge you, lest the rhythm of the show go off the rails. The performance, in some sense, is co-created in every moment, an exchange between the writer, the performer, and the audience. So tonight, just as Neil Simon's craft relies on observation and timing, the full effect of the play relies on you. Your recognition and the freedom of your laughter is what completes our story. And just as those laughs nourished Neil Simon, We hope that in sharing this experience together, those laughs will nourish you as well. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.